In 1970, Fairfax County, Virginia, there were 2 police reports that sounded almost impossible. Not a ghost or a demon, but a man in a white rabbit costume carrying a hatchet. The first documented report came from Air Force Academy cadet Robert Bennett and his fiancée, who were parked near Guinea Road. At first, it was just darkness outside the car. Then something moved. A figure appeared close to the window. Bennett described a white suit with long rabbit ears, but his fiancée was less certain. To her, it looked more like pointed headgear than a full bunny costume. That small disagreement makes the report feel stranger because even the witnesses couldn't fully agree on what had stepped out of the dark. But what they did agree on was the attack. The figure shouted about trespassing, then threw a hatchet through the passenger side window before vanishing into the night. 10 days later, another report described a similar figure at an unfinished home in Kings Park West, chopping at a porch post with a long-handled axe and threatening a security guard if he came closer. Then the trail went cold. No clear identity, no arrest, no neat ending. That empty space therefore became the legend itself. Over time, the story moved to a railroad overpass on Colchester Road, now called Bunnyman Bridge. The costume became more disturbing. The axe became more violent. Some versions added an asylum, escaped patients, and bodies hanging from the bridge. But researchers found no asylum on that land and no proof for the darkest details of this tale. So the asylum story may be fiction, the hanging bodies may be fiction, but those 2 strange reports still remain. Who was walking through Virginia in a rabbit suit with an axe? That still remains a mystery. Bus 375 is a Chinese urban legend that spread through forums in the early 2000s. The story begins with a late-night bus route between Beijing's Fragrant Hills and the city proper. Inside, the lights are weak, the windows are dark, the passengers sit quietly, facing forward. Then, one rider notices something wrong. Nobody is coughing or shifting, nobody blinks or moves. Their faces are pale, and their bodies sit too still, as if the bus is carrying mannequins dressed as people. A Taoist monk nearby leans close and whispers one instruction: do not look at them. The rider obeys. At the final stop, only the monk and the passenger get off. Everyone else remains seated, silent and unmoving. Other versions of this story replace the monk with an elderly woman who starts a loud argument just to force a young man off the bus. Later versions add ghosts from a reservoir, dead passengers found on board, or a mirror that reveals what the riders truly are. No verified police report or news article has been found to confirm this story, but that's exactly why it works. It feels like a warning passed between strangers. If you board the wrong bus at the wrong hour, don't stare at the people who are not staring back. Balete Drive is a tree-lined road in Quezon City, Philippines. The trees here matter because, in Filipino folklore, balete trees are often linked with spirits and beings that people do not want to disturb after dark. That makes the White Lady feel like she belongs here. The legend says that a young woman died somewhere along this road. Some versions say that a driver killed her, other versions say unknown attackers left her spirit behind. A pale woman steps into the back seat late at night. She doesn't speak. She doesn't give much of an address, she only sits there, quiet beneath the passing shadows of the trees. Then the driver checks the rearview mirror. Sometimes the seat is empty, sometimes her face is distorted, sometimes she appears drenched in blood, visible only in the reflection. When the driver turns around, she's gone. No verified death matching the legend has been found, but the road, the trees, and the mirror give the story its power. On Balete Drive, the fear isn't seeing a woman in white, it's seeing what the mirror sees. Jangsan Beom is a South Korean urban legend linked to Jangsan Mountain in Busan. The name means something like Jangsan Tiger, but the creature is not really described like a tiger. Its real weapon isn't its claws or its fangs, it's sound. The legend says that it can mimic human voices with terrifying precision. Not just any voice either, a voice you know, a parent, a friend, someone calling your name from the dark side of the trees with a voice that you recognize. And that's the trap. You hear a familiar voice behind you. Your body wants to answer before your mind can stop it. You want to turn around, you want to check if someone needs help. But the rule here is simple. Do not answer, do not turn around, just keep walking. Accounts describe the creature as pale, large, and vaguely human when glimpsed. Sometimes it crawls, sometimes it stands. The body changes, but the voice stays the same. That's what makes it so frightening. It doesn't need to chase you first, it only has to sound like someone you love, and then you go to it. Lake Ronkonkoma sits in Suffolk County, Long Island. It is a real lake, deep in places, with sharp changes beneath the surface. The legend attached to it is older and colder. It tells of a Native American princess who loved a European settler. Their relationship was forbidden. In some versions, he left her, and in others, he was taken from her. Broken by grief, she paddled into the center of the lake and drowned herself. Now her spirit is said to remain beneath the water, claiming one young male life each year. The unsettling part is that Lake Ronkonkoma does have a long record of drownings in local accounts. Many versions of this legend focus on the young men, which makes every new tragedy feel like proof to people who already know the story. But the legend doesn't explain the deaths, they just die. The lake itself is pretty dangerous. The bottom changes suddenly, the water moves swiftly. It can look calm on the surface while hiding steep drops beneath it. So the myth and the lake exist side by side. Maybe the lady is only a story, but the water never even needed a ghost to take someone under and take their life. Sweet Hollow Road and Mount Misery Road run through Huntington, New York. Local legend has fused them into one haunted stretch of road, woods, and overpasses. This isn't a single ghost story, it is a place where stories collect. One version of this multitude says that an asylum once burned on Mount Misery Road, killing the patients inside. Another says that this fire happened and a nurse survived and went mad, still wandering the tree line. Drivers speak of police officers seen beneath an overpass, visible in the rearview mirror after passing, then gone when they look back. There's also the boy who appears in headlights, the woman in white who walks the shoulder, the feeling that the road is longer at night than it really should be. Most of these details are not supported by clear official records. The asylum fire, the nurse, the ghostly officers, and the roadside apparitions remain pieces of local legend. But the location does have to work by itself. It is pretty creepy. The woods are dense, the roads feel isolated, headlights only show what is directly ahead, and the rearview mirror turns everything into a question in the dark. Some haunted places have one or two ghosts. Sweet Hollow feels like it just keeps adding them and adding them. On November 13, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. killed 6 members of his family inside 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. That part is documented and pretty sad. It went through court, and DeFeo was convicted in 1975. The legend begins after the crime. 13 months later, George and Kathy Lutz moved into the house with their children. They left after 28 days, claiming that the home had become unbearable. Their accounts described cold spots, flies appearing in winter, doors torn from hinges, green slime seeping from walls, and a pig-like figure staring from outside. George Lutz also claimed he woke at 3:15 every single morning near the murder time. The story became Jay Anson's best-selling book, The Amityville Horror, and then the famous 1979 horror film of the same name. But this haunting has always been disputed. A former lawyer connected to the case later claimed that the story had been shaped over wine. Later owners said that they experienced nothing comparable. Journalists and skeptics challenged several details in the original story. So, Amityville remains split in two. The murders were real. The haunting is the part people still fight over. And maybe that's why the house became so famous. The true horror was already inside before any ghost entered the story. Camp Hero sits on the eastern tip of Long Island at Montauk. It was a real Cold War military site built around radar, defense, and secrecy. The legend says that the secrecy never ended. In the 1990s, stories spread that secret underground levels continued operating beneath the base. According to the Montauk Project legend, experiments were carried out on mind control, time travel, and psychic warfare. At the center of this story was the Montauk Chair, a device said to amplify human thought until the mind itself became a weapon. Some versions claim that it opened portals. Others connect it to the Philadelphia experiment, missing children, and a monstrous being unleashed from inside the program. No documents confirm these experiments. No verified records prove the underground project even existed. But Camp Hero was real, the radar dish was real, Cold War secrecy was real. That's the fuel behind the myth. The fear is not only what happened there, it's what people believe could have happened in a place built to hide things. And who knows how many of these stories have a kernel of truth to them. Creepy things happen all the time, and not everything is explainable. But hey, let us know what you think down in the comments down below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.